Hey guys, DJ Lawton here, and today I want to go into a video about how ego might be holding you back in your music production goals. I had a lovely chat yesterday with one of my subscribers over Zoom, just talking to me about how he can cultivate flow state and get out of his own way and stuff like that. And we got into some interesting, deep topics, and I think the main takeaway I took from that talk anyway was how ego oftentimes gets in the way. And when I say it gets in the way, is it sort of tries to make the creative process something it isn't in order to control an outcome, which can end up having very suboptimal results, shall we say. So if we start thinking about how the ego works, the ego has all of these desires. It wants to be an amazing artist. It wants to be a famous DJ. It wants to be rich and famous, and it wants to get all the girls and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, if only I could make a hit, and then that hit got a 10 million billion streams, and then I played all over the world, then everyone would think I'm amazing. Then I get the validation. Then I get the money. Then I get the girls. And it's okay to have these visions for yourself. It's okay to think that's what I want out of life. But when you're trying to make music, and you're trying to be creative, and above all, you're trying to get into a flow state, ego cannot be present during that time. His ego will ruin things for you. How it does this is ego shows up, and it's like you're making music, and as soon as you start putting stuff in, you're like, okay, this kick drum we're putting in now, it has to be punchy and loud. It has to be the best kick drum because dance tracks need to have the best kicks, and if it doesn't, no one's gonna like it. And then you spend ages just looking for the right kick, and then you do ages trying to process it in that way. And you're like, okay, now the snare. Okay, the snare, it needs to cut through. It needs to be heavy, and it needs to snap. Otherwise, people aren't gonna like it. And then you do that, and then by that point, you've spent half an hour on a kick and a snare. Creativity, who's been sitting in the background waiting for its turn, is just going to be like, I'm out. Like it's just gonna bail. It's just not gonna give a shit. Then what happens is the ego gets frustrated. You feel this, like you get halfway through a project and you're getting frustrated because you can't finish it. And what this is your ego is getting frustrated. It's cracking out a whip and it's whipping your creativity. Like, come on, get to work. And creativity doesn't have to listen to ego. It just goes, no, I'm not doing anything. It just leaves. It doesn't want to take. It doesn't want any part of this. Creativity only shows up when ego subsides. So you need to put those egoic desires to the side when you're making music. It's okay to have them outside of a session. It's okay to think, wow, if I get really good at making music, one day I could be playing big stages, big festivals, and that's cool. That's really cool. You should go for those goals if that's what you really want. But like I said, ego cannot show up during your sessions because it makes things really, really, really hard. And even if you do finish a track in these states, you usually just come away feeling frustrated or low energy or just really worn out. And the music sounds a bit too janky. Maybe it was put together, because you're trying to make everything sound big and sound impressive, that it comes off very not impressive. Because by trying to be impressive, you're not going to impress anyone, right? I'm sure you've heard that saying before. And I feel like the best music, at least in my experience, is made when you're in these egoless states, just trying to have fun and be excited, or trying to express a memory or an emotion that you felt. Some of my most inspired tracks that just fell out with me within a few hours of just producing and having fun were just based upon memories from my past. Some were good memories, some were bad memories. It's okay to dive into your traumas and stuff like that and write music about that, because at least it'd be a lot more emotive and have a lot more artistic value to it, in my opinion. When ego makes music, it's not concerned with that. It just looks at what's trending, looks like what's doing well, and goes like, we need to make that. If we make that, then everything's going to be awesome. And you can have a career doing that. Don't get me wrong. There are people I've seen who, when they sit down to write a track, they literally put a reference track in the DAW and just copy it. I've done this myself and had those tracks signed. It's totally doable. It's just, it doesn't really have much artistic value, at least not to me. It doesn't feel fulfilling. I'd rather got, if I was to get famous or well known, it would be because I was making the music that meant something to me, not because I was able to replicate a popular style. Not only that, but if you just copy popular styles, as soon as that style's not popular anymore, you're out. You're fucked. When you create your own style, however, it doesn't matter if the trends change, you're still going to be popular. There's plenty of artists who do that. I mean, yeah, you can still say like, well, they're making house music, or yeah, they're making dubstep, but They have their own unique style, and they can bring that style into other genres, and they can still stay relevant. And there's plenty of big artists that do this. Be wary of when your ego pops up, and be wary that when you're doing these projects and you're getting frustrated halfway through, it's not necessarily you that's getting frustrated, it's your ego's getting frustrated because it can't control the situation. Which I guess leads on to another point, is focus on what you can control. You can't control making really good music. You can't control making something impressive because it's a subjective thing. You can't control the opinions of others. And if your ego's there, like, we have to make this amazing track that everyone will love, how is it going to do that? It can't. It's impossible. No track ever has been made that everybody liked. There's even the biggest tracks in the world, some people hate them, and that's okay. Just make what's true to you. And a quote from Brian Eno that I really love, which I told this guy on Zoom yesterday, which he also really liked, was, imagine if you're an archer and you're trying to hit a bullseye. It's going to take a lot of skill, a lot of training, a lot of resources, time and money in order to get good enough to hit that bullseye consistently. And this is what most people are trying to do, is they're trying to hit that bullseye, thinking if I could just hit that bullseye, then I would, be famous. As soon as I make that perfect tech house track or perfect deep house track or perfect drum and bass track or whatever, then my career will take off. But the thing is, like, there's so much competition because there's all these other people all trying to hit that same bullseye you are. So what you do instead is you just shoot the arrow anywhere. Wherever it lands, you just draw the bullseye around it. And then this is like sort of creating your own niche, creating your own market, right? And it takes longer because you're going to do that. You're going to build a bullseye and people aren't just going to flood to it. But eventually people will see what you're doing and be like, hey, this guy's got really cool music. And if you do that for a few years, no one can catch up with you at that point because it's like you've created your own style. You've been doing that and you've perfected it for 5 years. Other producers come in and be like, they want to copy your style. It's like really difficult for them because like, I don't know how he's done that. I don't know how he's created that. And they're 5 years behind you because you started in an area with no competition versus trying to hit the bullseye that already exists. And there's like so much competition and it's evolving at the same time. So even when you do eventually hit the bullseye, everyone's moved to a different target. So yeah, you have to really consider that as well. It's better to be, in my opinion, an artist than it is to be a manufacturer. Like a manufacturer will just try and make what's popular and it'll just be like, right, I've listened to the best music that's trending at the moment. They have these hi-hats, they have these snares, they have these kinds of melodies. I'm just going to recreate that. And I mean, there's nothing wrong. If you want to be a manufacturer, there's nothing wrong with that because like, you're looking at it like a business. You're like, I'm producing the product, put the product out, people like it, people buy it. And that's a business model, right? Being an artist is a bit different because you're sort of saying, well, here's my art, here's my expression of what I think music should sound like. And if no one likes it, it's like, that's okay. But I think a lot of people can't let go of that. They have to have both. I have to be an artist and I have to be validated and approved of. It's really difficult to let go of that ego side, but it's probably one of the best things you could do. Learn to like meditate, learn to journal and sort of shed away those egoic desires. And really ask yourself why you even want this. Like, why do you want to be a famous music producer? Why do you want to be a touring DJ? Why do you want to make loads of money? Why do you want to meet loads of girls? I mean, they're nice visions. Like I said at the start, you can definitely go for them. I'm not saying you shouldn't have goals, but ask yourself why you want them. Do you want them out of a desperation? Or do you want them out of inspiration? Like, do you want them because that would be like a really cool thing to have? And, you don't really need it either way, but it would be like, oh, that was really cool if I could get to that point. Or do you need it because you're like, I need to have that because when I was 6 years old, I was bullied and told I would never amount to anything. My teachers told me I'm a piece of shit. And so if I got that, then I'll show them, and that's the egoic thing. And it's going to come from a place of desperation, like a very needy energy. And it's not going to get you where you want to go if you do it that way. So yeah, I think that's all I've got to say on the topic. Nice little rant. I hope you found this useful. Let me know your opinions in the comment section if you agree with this stuff, if there's things maybe you think I've missed or things you don't understand. I'd love to go deeper on it for sure. So yeah, that's today's video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.